Good morning and a warm welcome to you from wherever Good morning and a very warm welcome to you from wherever you're tuned in. Been a while. And I'll want to go through her bio very briefly before we start. Suzanne Durango is an entrepreneur, life skills, and emotional wellness coach. She is the lead consultant at Sense 101 Junior Club and Joy Village, where with a group of mentors, they equip children with life skills to impart knowledge in an experiential way. She is a mother and a wife. Along her journey, she found her relentless passion and purpose for the well-being of children and families. This realization led her to create Joy Village, that is the umbrella for Joy Kids, 4 to 12 years, Joy Teens, 13 to 19 years, and Joy Family, which encompasses the youth, 20 to 25 years. Parents and trainer of trainers, she is the director of a company in the oil and gas industry, Global Oil. She is part of a vibrant organization for women called OWIT, that's Organization for Women in International Trade in Full, as the welfare director. Suzanne is the faculty principal of my Life Journey Mentorship Program at Sense 101 Life Club, led by Dr. Kenyanjui Nganga. Her passion in mental health and mentorship led her to pursue a master's degree in counseling psychology. With that, I'd like to welcome Suzanne to the show. Suzanne?
Church for giving me this opportunity. I'm happy to be here. Yes, and thank you to our viewers who have joined. Yes, I'm happy to engage this morning.
Yeah. I have just read your bio to them. It's very long and well accomplished. Congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So tell us, what do you do at Joy Village? Perhaps parents would like to know what it is that you do at Joy Village in detail.
Right. I'll start in short. Joy Village, I would say it's an edutainment hub whereby children come to learn. And what do they learn? They learn life skills and have fun. So what we say that we educate, that is in life skills. We nurture the children to grow, for them to achieve their full potential as human beings, and we thrill because we do a lot of excursions and a lot of activities, team building activities for the kids to learn, to have fun as they learn, right? And with that, now we have a couple of tailored programs to fit the different needs of different age groups of children. Yeah.
And the parents, do you engage them at any level?
Absolutely, yes. We engage the parents. Initially, we'd engage the parents only once a year. Then we realized that wasn't ideal because a child exists in an ecosystem and the parent is very key, because the child will learn, the parent helps to enhance what they've learned. So initially they would drop the kids would learn, and then they would come and pick them up. But now our programs have been tailored in such a way they incorporate the child and the parent as well. So once in a while we'll have activities where we do for children alone, and also now for parents alone, and a program for parents alone to be able to also, help their kids continually learn and support them in what they're learning. Yeah.
Okay. For the purposes of our discussion today, please define life skills for us.
Yes, life is a skill. Let's start there.
Okay.
These skills have been taught to us by our parents, by our nannies as we are growing up, by the church, by friends, by our relatives. So basically, it's whatever that you learn in life to teach you how to be better, how to better cope with your life. If I can go a bit technical, I would say they are the abilities for adaptive and positive behavior that enable human beings to deal effectively with demands and challenges of their life. In psychology, that's also what we'd call psychosocial competency, right? So basically, that's what life skills it is in a nutshell. Yeah.
Okay. And so, what is the importance of teaching life skills then to children at an early age? Why not wait until they're adults? When life, we hear life begins at 40.
Mm-hmm.
So why should the skills be taught earlier than 40?
Oh my word. If you taught skills at 40, you'd be a very incompetent human being. So basically, the importance of life skills, because these are everyday skills, for example, to help you in the development, in a child's developmental stages. The life skills then are important because you teach them how to, how to speak. You'll teach them how to interact with others. Let's call them social skills. You can teach them motor skills. When the kids grow a little bit older, like the toddler age, you will teach them how to share. So at every stage in life, there needs different life skills to enhance different life skills. But basically, the foundation of it that we do is that we help intentional parents. Why intentional? Intentional because you want your child to be the best that they can be. So we are here to support parents. So we support them to teach children life skills at the different ages. And as we had said, we do it with different teams. So why teach life skills? One is to teach the children as they grow to be responsible of their actions and to take responsibility, is to be self-aware, because it is very hard to lead yourself if you don't know who you are. Is to help them cope better in the community with other people. Is to support them even when they're confused about different aspects of their life. Is to step in and also help parents to have difficult conversations, which sometimes time to time you'll get that parents are having difficulties to have. For example, when it comes to sexuality, when it comes to, when it comes to enhancing self-confidence, because as they say, you give what you have. Sometimes we expect our children to have things we do not have. So with that support, we support each other to help this child become the better that they can be, the best that they can be. Yeah.
I hear you bring a very important aspect in there about awareness. I don't know, how is it linked to identity? As much as you're saying we are equipping children with life skills, I hear you also saying that these children need to know who they are so that they're able to make decisions that are not self-destructive. Tell us a bit about identity.
Well, identity is something that comes from home. And it starts by you get a baby boy or a baby girl, and here they get a name depending on how your culture names. Then it comes from the environment that you raise this child in, the parents, or the lack of, or the guardians. So they pick a lot from the environment. For example, and identity is a very important topic, and I'm happy that you brought it up. And a lot of adults also are confused when it comes to the identity conversation. And even after learning, because even after guys learn identity as adults, they still struggle with it, and you have to go back into those days, sometimes have conversations even with your parents, if you're lucky to have them alive, or have a conversation with yourself when it comes to identity, because it's derived first and foremost from God, then from our parents, So this is a conversation that sometimes, the older you are, I think it is something that sometimes needs one-on-one conversation, or somewhere you can be able to be supported further into having that conversation. But identity is one thing that we have with parents, and just help children understand. First, your identity comes from God. And who does God say you are? And who do you believe that you are? You know? And then, because identity again now ties into purpose. You get also, as adults, if you've not sorted out the identity conversation, there's a struggle when it comes to purpose. And again, purpose is from our maker, right?
Mm.
When a manufacturer manufactures something, for example, a certain phone, they know, they're not surprised if, a call comes through that phone, because it's manufactured to do that, right? So it is the manufacturer who actually makes that item knowing what it is for. So the conversation still goes back to our maker,
Mm.
yeah, to ask for those answers. Once we understand who we are in God, then we move to the part where we have that conversation from our basics, where we came from.
Okay.
Yeah.
So very quickly, how can parents then help their children to guard their identity or to have it intact so that when they are later on as adults, they don't struggle with who they are and what their purpose is about? Very simply, what are some of the small things that parents can do to help their children in that way?
I think number one is to have a conversation,
Mm-hmm.
right? Is
Mm-hmm.
to just have the conversation first when it comes to values.
Okay.
What are the values that you hold as a person, as a family? Because
Mm.
everybody has values, whether they know it or not. It's like fingerprints.
Yes.
So the decisions we make, most often than not, will be derived from the values that we carry. For example, why would I choose this kind of friend instead of this other one? Why would I
Mm.
do this instead of the other? We are guided by the values. So I think first and foremost is to have the conversation of values and even articulate it as parents, because we pick values, but we do not actually talk about them. Because
That's
sorry?
no, that's true. I'm agreeing with what you're saying.
Yes, so I would tie that very strongly with the conversation for values, and make sure if, let's say, your child does things that are not in line with their values, you keep bringing it back to the values system.
Mm.
And also, you should uphold it as a parent, the values
Mm-hmm.
that you say that you hold. If it's honesty, don't be dishonest and expect your child to be honest. So you
Mm.
keep each other at tabs. Yeah.
Mm. Okay, thank you. I like how you've really, I know identity and purpose are very wide ranging topics, but I like how you've sort of summarized them that our identity comes from God. And as parents, it's our role to help our children connect with their maker in that sense. And then once a child has identified with their maker and with their identity, then later on, purpose also becomes a seamless transition into what they really need to do, because all of us came to this planet with a purpose. And that
Right.
very early on, as parents, we need to guard and help our children guard their identity and their purpose with values. And probably it's a challenge to the parents out there to take a stock take or do inventory. What values do you stand for? And write them down. You might be surprised what you're conscious or unconscious of, and then begin to enforce these values in your children, but not only enforce them, but model them. I've heard it often said that children observe more than they hear. So it's difficult to tell a child what to do and you're not doing it yourself. Children learn
Yeah.
through a role model better.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just summarizing what you're saying, and I like how you've tied in the question of values, identity, and purpose. So
Yes.
the current generation of children are very digital. Do we still need to teach them life skills? And we have washing machines in our homes nowadays.
Yeah.
we have fundis, they don't need to sew a button. I think very shortly clothes will be sewing on buttons for themselves. So do we still need to teach children the old school life skills, or are there also digital life skills? Tell us more about the digital age.
Okay, thank you for the question. It's actually very real. That's where we are. And I just
Mm,
want to sidetrack a little bit and say, just like the conversation about identity and values is a foundation that affects you even as an adult, you know,
mm,
if you didn't have these
mm,
conversations, if that was not dealt with at that particular time, even as an adult, you'll still struggle with them. If you don't deal with them, you'll still go with those struggles to your grave. It's the same thing with life skills, right?
mm,
As a
mm,
parent, you're a railroad for your children. You know the way the railroad is like this? In
mm,
between they're walking. Sometimes they'll come to the side. You're just supposed to make sure they don't fall off, but you allow them to be. Now, these children have been born into a time where we grew into technology. They are being born into technology.
mm,
They are the natives of technology. So I would say when it comes to technology, first we need to enhance it. There's nowhere it interrupts with life skills, because life skills is about the kind of person that you are. It supports you and helps you to be a better person. The computer isolated, or the gadgets or social media on its own, cannot help you to be a better person, because you first have to start building from the inside. You have to be defined from the inside. So if you don't teach children life skills, what will happen is they'll be defined from the outside. What they see on social media, those whatever it is that they watch, that is their teacher. That is who helps them define who they are. So if the basing or the foundation in life skills is not there, it affects the child. So for example, each child comes from a home, right? In that home, there are responsibilities. The home has to run in one way or another.
mm,
Technology, even if it came, for example, you have to load the machine for the machine, and then you put what it is that you're washing. You have to sort out the clothes. After the machine finishes to wash, you have to unload the machine. If you have a dryer or if you're hanging outside, you still have to do it. So the machine comes to help. It doesn't come to do 100% for us. It comes to make it easier. So life skills are not going to be outdone by the machines, by technology. It's still going to be there, right? Yeah.
thank you.
Wamboi?
Thank you for sharing. Yes, thank you for sharing. Um, we are having more time with the children now, especially during this period of COVID. A lot has changed. Classes now are online, and we have to find things for the kids to do. What can you advise parents on how to keep the children occupied? And when they run out of things, what should they do? Because we have until January 2021. Just speak to us
Yeah.
about this period.
Yes. All right. We have our kids at the moment. It's a pleasure, depending on how you look at it.
Mm,
Um, you get bored if you choose to get bored.
mhm,
First, I'll say this: being learning from online is fantastic. I would say it comes with its own pluses. It comes with its own challenges. It's for us to look at it in its own entirety and embrace it. Now, for some children, they've been doing classes since they've closed, and some, I mean, the learning has been very structured, either by their school or by an online platform that the parents have taken up on. I think I would want to say is that we need to understand what amount of time are kids spending learning, what amount of kids are children using technology for entertainment, and we need to separate the two. Then you need to know, even if they're learning, you cannot learn the whole day and the whole night. There needs to be breaks and all that. If it's
mm,
entertainment, the same. How much time are you going to give your child to be in front of the screen, whether it is, the computer or the television, for? Because later on, the effects of a lot of screen time are going to show. So first, I would say is to divide your learning time and your social time and be aware. Secondly, we have our kids at home. The home runs. can they be part of running the home? Yeah, depending on the age group. There's no age group that there's nothing to do. Even the little babies, like let's call them toddlers, they can help put away the toys. You're putting away and they're helping you, you know. Even if the children are doing class time, they need to participate in one way or another. Are they helping with their breakfast? You know, because look at it before when we were doing traditional school earlier on in the year and in the past years, the child will wake up pretty early. They would prepare themselves and then now probably have breakfast and then leave at a certain time. Now, because it's time, they're sleeping in. Could you use part of that time in the morning for them to do some morning chores that contribute to what needs to be done in the morning? We also need to ensure that physically they're going out to play. They need to be out in the sun, fresh air, you know, let them go out and play. It also helps with the formation of the bones, especially the younger they are. That's why sometimes you'll see a child is big, but they're not strong, right? Yeah, let them help, and then we can take the time to learn some of these things. Like I remember when we're in school, we're taught how to sew buttons. So what happens? Yes, at some point you get a wife, but you're sent out to work. Will you? And then your button comes off. You buy another shirt. You know, as a man, for example. Or if you have to go and stay somewhere and you have to do dishes, because I've seen even adults who cannot do dishes clean. Yeah, they will do the dishes, but they'll be put on the rack and they're still dirty. So we need to incorporate the daily life things that adults do and help them learn, because we are getting kids being washed until they are 9, 10, 11. Surely, is there going to be a machine very soon washing us? You just stand in the bathroom and and you're washed. So life skills are not going to go anywhere. And the thing is, if we don't teach these children life skills, for example, in our own spaces at home, even when they become adults and have their own homes, they'll be very dysfunctional. Because I take it that the joy of every parent is you will bring up your child to an extent. At some point they will leave your home and go and live, be able to be independent. So these small things need to be taught to children at an early age. And one challenge I've seen is I think we are taking it for granted that sometimes these homes have one child or two children, and sometimes the kids are quite spaced. Maybe the older one is way older and the other one is way earlier, or the last born is way younger. So you get, because there's a nanny, they're being done for a lot of things. That is how, and then you'll wonder, okay, fine, since the nanny is there or the house manager, let them do, because they're on a payroll, right? Even if they're on the payroll, we need to, even as we have the nannies and the house managers to help us, at a certain age, we need to withdraw some chores and let the children do them. You know, as they grow, keep withdrawing one, you know, keep withdrawing another. Yeah. So that they learn how to do it. Yeah. I hope I've
Thank you
answered
for
your question adequately.
Yes, you have. Let's go into I think it's the most problematic age group, and not problematic in that they're a nuisance, but problematic in that they are navigating their identity. It's a transition time for them. I'm talking about teenagers. And
Right.
lately, we've also heard of the increase in teenage pregnancies. Tell us about your perspective of that age group and what can be done to reduce the negative effects of the transition and the challenges that come with that age group.
I've heard you say teenage pregnancy. You've talked about it's a challenging group.
Mm.
And the third was, let me
Just
first
the
start with the
transition. Mm.
transition. Okay.
They're in
So
a,
let me
they're in
start.
a transition phase. Identity,
Okay.
identity. Mm.
So teenage is a time that adolescence and teenage takes a very long time. And there's a
Mm.
lot of growth that happens within that time. And mostly now it starts at about 10, and for some about 8, 9, especially for the girls. And it goes all the way until you stop calling the children teens. That is 20. Now, it's a very confusing time because a lot of growth happens physically, a lot of growth happens emotionally, mentally, psychosocially, I mean, in every single way. And I think we do not understand this age group. That is why it becomes very, very challenging. And different times come with different challenges. Like, for example, when we were growing up, the challenges our parents would have had with the teenagers would slightly differ with right now because there are other things added that were not a challenge, for example, social media and how that is affecting them. So the first thing is to understand who a teenager is and what's going on in their life, and then now learning how to deal with them. Then I would also say that a child, let me just say, in mostly in the African setup, but that's just in the world, a child is brought up by the village. Now, the village has become global because internet is there and it's in like every home. And if it's not, I mean, and if you don't have 24/7 Wi-Fi, probably you have bundles and a bundle allocation for the child. So there's a lot that they are learning from, whatever it is that they watch, and it helps build who they are today. So number one, I would say, is understand your child at the stage that they are and the changes that they're going to go through. Yeah. So let's take the time to use the ecosystem of these children to understand who are interacting with these children, where they don't have to be, you're not guiding them all the time or quarreling, because they say parents can be the most unkindest people. So teenage is a point where the child is not understanding the adult, the parent, and the parent is not understanding the child. So most of the times, wanarushiana mikono juu. They give each other space, they come together, they still don't understand until they face out from that stage. So let's first take time to understand how teenagers work, how their mind works, how at different stages, what's going on between that 10 to 20, right? Because at some point when they're a bit older, you will feel that they're more argumentative because, at that point in time, the critical thinking is probably enhanced. They know more. You can't trick them. They can see the disparity between who you say you are and who you are. So sometimes they will challenge you and you will not like that because when you grew up, that was not allowed. So I cannot overemphasize understanding the teenager. There's help out there. There are people out there who understand this age group way better. There are so many programs going on there for teenagers. Enroll your children. Because I'll tell you what we do. For example, some of these things we'll talk to the children about, we will go deeper in them. It's not that they've not been taught by the parents or the church, for example, but we help tie that together and help them understand from their point of view and from their parents' point of view. So the transformation happens there, right? So the child is able to understand how their actions are affecting the parent and helping also the parent understand how their action or inaction is affecting the child, right? Then we go to the teenage pregnancy. The beauty about children, nothing just happens. You'll see some two things changing, right? And I'm not talking about rape because that's a different conversation. I'm talking about a girl or a boy who is engaging sexually. The signs are written all over. It's just that sometimes we will see these things, or rather the behavior, and interpret it to mean something else. Pregnancy does not just happen. It may happen that maybe they had sex the first time and the girl got pregnant, but it hardly just happens. You will notice there's a change in how they're interacting with the opposite sex. They could have a special friend. They want to chat a lot of times. They are goofy. They are, sometimes become very isolated. They just want to spend time with that one particular boy. They are lying so that, they might say they are going to hang out with their friends who are girlfriends, and then the boy comes in. So it just doesn't happen. So are we observing that? The other thing is presence and absence of the parent. Are you present? Because if you're present, you will know. And present, I don't mean physically you're there, because you'll get that people are at home, they get home or they're tired and they're on their phone. The teenager is on the phone, the parent is on the phone, the mom is on the phone, the dad is on the phone. There's hardly that time where they're interacting. So it gets to a point where you don't also know each other. You lose track of this person. And remember, the child is changing, so they are growing and changing. You probably are not changing very much unless your circumstances have not drastically changed. So the child would have learned you way better because you're not changing much. For them, they are doing 360 at some certain stage. They do a 360 on one thing or the other. Sometimes you'd get they're pushing your boundaries. Sometimes it's there are different dynamics, because you never get to that place where you're like, phew, I am done with this parenting thing. Just when you think that you've gotten that stage and you're good, a change happens and now you have to relearn all over again. Yeah. So what I would say is the presence of these parents when it comes to engaging with your children. Find out how they feel about certain different conversations. How do they feel about, and remember, even at teenage, it is a time when they're socializing. That is very key for them. What is also key for them is how they look. How do they look? How do they, are they attractive? Are they looking like Rihanna, if that's who they like? Are they looking like, I don't know who? Yeah, if they have a pimple that has popped, you're like, gosh, it's like death itself, So those kind of things matter to them. So don't play them and you're like, Kwani, why do you have to keep looking at yourself? Be comfortable in yourself. It's that stage where they're at, So if they feel so concerned about the acne, I mean, just take them to a dermatologist, have it checked. Maybe it's nothing, maybe it's something. If you go to a good one, they will just notice there are changes, and you're let loose, maybe with something that will just, make it come down. So if we are present, and I'm not saying the teenage pregnancy will not happen if you're present, but how are you present? Are you engaging with your child? Do you know what is happening? When you see gaps in your child's life, are you filling in the gaps for yourself, or you're trying to find out what's going on with them? And they will tell you. If they feel safe enough, they will tell you. And if they're not feeling safe enough to tell you, have somewhere they can go and speak to somebody who they can be open with, who will not react like, because they're also scared to come and tell you, and the reaction that is going to come out of it. Yeah. Let there be some other safe space, whether it's an auntie or an uncle or a teacher, or if, let's say, it's one of our children who come to our programs, just reach out and say, I am noticing this and that and the other. If you want us to have a chat, we'll just have an informal chat and just check what's going on, because like what happens is when we have the programs and the different interactions we have, we pick a lot from the kids. So we give the parents feedback. But sometimes, depending on what it is, we also want to know, is a child comfortable enough in us sharing with the parent? As long as it's not life-threatening, threatening the child in any way, we will help at that point and then just let it go, but encourage them to speak to one of their parents or speak to somebody, speak to your auntie, who are you close with, try and find out who is your support system. Sometimes they have a friend probably in school, and you get some schools also have that kind of support where they have a peer counselor, so they're able to talk. But basically is that they get help whichever way, but at least they're getting help. They're not keeping these things inside. Teenagers have a lot of questions. Who's answering your teenagers' questions? If you're not the one, who do you think is? They're Googling these things. So maybe the Western world, that's not how you do things in your house. You have a different value system. But do they know that? Yeah, so I think I would just encourage parents. This is just the way we take so much time to learn. When, like, for example, when mothers are pregnant, they realize they're pregnant. They research so much on the pregnancy. They research so much on taking care of the child, until when I guess they get to that 5-year-old mark or something. At some point, they just let go. They're like, okay, we are good. It's the same thing with that age group for teenagers. Keep researching, read a little bit more, see how the mind of a teenager works. There's a whole human science behind it.
mm,
And
mm,
where you think you can't, just reach out for help. The help is there everywhere.
mm,
If you
yeah.
look, if you open your
Mm,
eyes to it, the help is
mm,
there. Yeah.
mm.
Mm.
So in summary, I'm hearing you saying very many things. First is that we need to understand teenagers as they are. We need not brush off the priorities of that age, which is slowly they're evolving into adults, but they are not yet there, quite there. They're still children.
Yeah.
But we need to respect their need for self-esteem, socializing with their peers. And if we spend enough time with them, we will be able to notice the red flags before things like teenage pregnancy or addiction even happen, because the signs are always there. But the question is, are we present enough to detect? I also like what you've said about having an alternative social support system where a teenager can go, probably a trusted mentor or a trusted auntie, an uncle, a relative, another sounding board, as you will, with whom you share values, where once in a while that teenager can go if they feel, Maze, my mom is not getting me. I hear teenagers always saying they're misunderstood. That's the
Yes.
biggest challenge that they have with their parents. But there's always that safe space or alternative safe space they can go to or find in an auntie or a mentor or a trusted relative, in short. And all
Yes.
these support systems are there, and intentional parents can do what it takes to build, like you said, a child is brought up by a village and now the village is global. An
Mhm.
intentional parent can take time to choose these partners well, so that they don't feel left alone in our journey. But very
Yeah.
quickly, most parents complain of their teenagers shutting down on them. So you've tried
Mhm.
to be present, you've tried to, reach out as much as you can, but this teenager won't budge. They've like literally put a wall. What can you tell such a parent in terms of communication?
Okay, right. That happens. That's usual.
Mm,
Sometimes you'll get teenagers will do what we call ghosting. They'll ghost you. You're there, you're talking to them. It's like they're pretending they're not hearing, but they hear you.
okay.
And what I've seen and what is that it's different for boys and it's different for girls, right? So if you want to engage with your sons, for example, and you want to sit down and chat the way you want to chat with your girl, most probably it might not come out. It will take a long time because
Mm,
one, men are not very detailed as is. Probably they have fewer words. Um, so you may want to engage differently where you're doing an activity, or you could be playing something or washing the car or doing whatever it is that you do, and then just start these conversations. And then now learn to pick, then don't react. They tell you and you're like, hey, what, when did that happen, why did you tell me? So try and be calm, you know be
mm,
that person that they can come to. The other thing is, teenagers read through the lines a lot, because if you just want to do this thing, like, yeah, okay, fine, I'm in that space, yeah, I want us to engage, let's talk. Then after that, you disappear, and that's it. I mean, they don't feel safe to come to you. Yeah, be a friend, and a friend meaning don't let the friendship be more than. I mean, remember at the very first, and you'll always remain a parent to this child. Then second, is you develop the friendship whereby you can be able to come and discuss things. So what I've seen with parents is they struggle to move with the child in the stages as they move higher and higher.
Mm,
So you need to
mm,
realize your adolescent who was 10 is 13. They are
mm,
15, they're
mm,
17. You know,
mm.
change
Yeah.
your way of communicate. If it's not working and you're trying to talk to the 10-year-old into this 15-year-old, change your
Mm.
tactic. You know,
Okay.
the most
Okay.
confusing usually is this.
Mhm.
Today, you're like, you're a grown up. You should have thought to do this and that and the other. Then
Mhm.
you turn around and you're like, you're still a child. You know, why are you doing this?
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So we
Mm,
confuse them as well. You know,
mm,
when it
mm,
serves us, they should be, I mean, they should be grown ups. You should know better. When
mm,
you turn around, you're like you're a child. You want to go for a sleepover. I mean, no, it's not safe nowadays for children. So where do you
mm,
balance calling them the adult and the child?
mm,
Yeah. So we contribute to the confusion. So I would say um be the safe space for them to come to you, learn them. Also introduce other tactics if it's not working.
mm,
Allow them to journal.
mm.
If it's something that is difficult that you can't talk about or they can't talk about, encourage them to write you a letter. They can do
Okay.
that
Mm,
because communication is not only when you're speaking.
mm,
We also need to learn to read from the non-verbal cues because they're
mm.
still communicating.
Okay.
Um, and as I said before, they may not talk to you, but they appreciate you being around.
Mm,
Yeah, they do.
okay.
So don't take
Okay.
it for granted that, oh, they're not talking to me, so I will not try. It's just that sometimes they just want to be left alone. Give them that space. But I would
Okay.
say you could introduce I don't know, depending on the value system in your home, introduce some
Mm,
things that will help you engage as a family. For
okay.
some people, it's devotion.
Mm,
For some people, it is they like take 10 minutes to just check how was your day, and not the
mm,
mechanical way. Find a way to just tap onto the emotion of what they learned about the day, what they are grateful about. It doesn't have to take so much time. It could take 15 minutes. You
mm,
could start also as adults, have
mm.
points where some areas in your house where you don't allow the phone.
Okay.
Don't allow dinner time for guys to have their phones
Mm,
you know
okay.
and we've also become teenagers in one way or another, the adults. Let us lead by example.
Yes.
Yeah,
Mm,
because when we are using the phone, we are working. When they're using the phone, they're on social media.
mm,
Then when you want to withdraw social media or the screen time, whichever it is, also
mm,
give them an alternative. It will
mm,
shock you. I've seen when we're doing the activities and the kids are playing, you
mhm.
get like 10-year-olds, 9-year-olds, 7-year-olds. They can't skip. Nobody ever taught them how to skip. It looks
Wow.
obvious, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we did those things, but they don't know because who taught them? Did they skip?
Wow.
They can go kick ball, they can run around. So let's teach them those things we did
Mm,
when the internet wasn't that rampant or that available to us.
yes.
you know yeah.
Yeah.
So let's engage more. Let's look for creative ways to engage with these children, with these teenagers.
Mm.
Yeah. Mm.
Okay, we have some comments coming in, and Dana is saying this is quite an eye opener. Thank you, Suzanne and Sherere. And she's asking us, some teenagers don't have parents and their guardians are not concerned. All they have as a support system is the society around them. How can we plug in? Dana wants to be a good Samaritan to teenagers without probably guardians, and she just wants to be a mentor or a support system in the teenager's life. How can she get in?
Well, we recently started something we call a community. We are creating a community base. And
Mm,
then part of our structure, we also work with mentors. Teachers
okay.
are everywhere. That's what we believe. So
Mm,
you can be mentored to mentor,
ah,
right?
okay. Mm-hmm.
Because I may not reach your crowd, your children, the people
Mm-hmm.
your network, right? But you can reach them.
Yes.
We can help you either structure it in a way you can be able to reach out, because what happens, it can be a daunting task. You can imagine if you have 50 children, just even
Yeah.
let me go lower, let me go to 10 who don't have a guardian present, but you want to be a parent to each one of them. You'll get exhausted,
True.
because what you're helping them to do, if it's like if you have a broken leg, is to have a clutch for them to learn how to walk by themselves. So once you support them, and once they feel safe to come and talk to you, once you're that support system, because that's what I'm understanding, is to work. Look, there's always somebody in the child support system, or they can tap onto, or they could explore, so that you're supporting that child, and you could help the person supporting them support them better,
Okay.
right? Yes.
Okay.
So they could reach out, and then we have a conversation and see how can we help them be able to help, because, like, for example, like right now things are virtual. When it wasn't virtual and the kids came to us, we had kids coming from Nakuru, Nyeri, that one Saturday of the month, but at some point it gets very tricky, right? But there's a teacher, for example, who can be there, who we can support. At least now the world has opened our eyes, especially in Africa, where we felt that virtual, you're still not connecting. Now our minds have been changed. We can now, at least when we did the virtual, we had kids even joining us from Mombasa and wherever, So probably it's just to tap on the resource. Let's reach out and let's have a conversation and see how we can be able to help you support those children you want to support out there. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Or
I
it's
want
something else I
to.
want to mention, Sherere. The other way they can reach out is this. In our program, we have part we call the community, or there are two types of the community in it. So part of the program, when you've engaged as a child, what you've learned, we pick the children in the community and go teach them.
Okay.
So we can come also with our children who teach, the children wherever they are. We just need to organize it in such a way we know which date. I mean, how many children are we expecting, so that kids are very logistical, so that we know how to divide them to make the discussion productive, because we can't have all the age groups together. So we can reach out and see how we can support each other. Yeah. So when we are coming, we can organize to come to them. That's the
Okay.
other option. Yeah.
Sawa sawa. At the end of this, you'll give us your links and how you can be contacted. I want to
Yes.
go back up a bit and go. I want to go to the age group of toddlers and early childhood thereabout. I remember
Yes.
you telling me one day that a child requires, is it 8 touches in a day or more? And
It was, yeah.
probably this is the stage where we begin to open the doors and the channels of communication, like before they get to adolescence and teenagehood. Some of the things we do when they're toddlers begin to set the path or the precedent for what kind of a teenage experience we're going to have as parents. Please speak into that age group of toddlers, early childhood, like 12 and below.
Okay. Yeah. And before I get there, even the teenagers still need touch, but they may not want, the cuddles. You can touch.
Okay.
Touch can be on your shoulder, it can be on your back. It
Okay.
can be, a rub on the head. Of course, not the girl, like the boys, but touch is still therapeutic,
Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
coming to the toddler, there are a lot of also changes that happen when the child is growing in that toddler age. And yes, you need about 8 touches in a day. They sound many, but it doesn't mean it's
No.
a tight hug or whatever. It's just that touch therapy. And if they're going through something, 12 to 15, because you'll agree with me, even you as an adult, when you're feeling low, how does it feel for you when somebody just gives you a good hug?
Yeah.
How does it feel when somebody rubs your back, like when you're feeling sad and you're about to cry and you're holding back and somebody just rubs your back? It really, speaks to you, and no words have been spoken. So even with our children, it gives them that sense of belonging and sense of loving. Like you can tell a child who's loved, they're so secure around that surrounding, whether it's their parents or their nanny, you can tell. So it's the same thing we need to do with our kids. Something I think I need to mention, since you talked about that age group, is the way you potty train your child also can leave a lot of shame that moves forward with the child. And even when they don't know, because they may be too young to remember, the way we are very mean when we are potty training, because we decide this is the time the child needs to be potty trained, and you want them to be ready when you're ready and to go, so. And maybe when they learn how to go to the toilet themselves, they're not really doing it the right way. You'll get, probably the parent will shout or talk to them in a certain way that brings shame to them. We need to be very careful how we
Okay.
do that, because it has a lot of effect. But is to at that age, it's easier in terms of, the child is more spoken, they're more expressive, even if when they can't speak, when they're upset, they will cry. So, they give you that hint, something is not right. So you're left figuring out what is it. When they learn how to talk, depending on how you express themselves, is how they pick it, and they learn how to express themselves more. So depending on the family, if you're a family who those things don't happen, we don't express ourselves that way. You only speak when you're watcher, the kid also learns how to withdraw. So it's, let's be loving in how we do our things. Let's be patient with them. Let's also allow them to be children. Like, they don't have to be so structured and so knowing how to do everything. You know,
Yeah.
let's just let them be. Like, let's be kind. That's the thing. We need to be kind. And I know it's been challenging for parents, even like this time for COVID, teaching the children. And the toddlers, most of them checked out. They're like, bora uhai. Because like, you're not teacher mommy, you're not mommy teacher, you're not, I don't know, whatever name is, nah, we're not doing school with you. Because one, consistency is not there, the patience, the love, and actually when parents, teachers right now, what they're saying, just be kind to our humans until we have them back. If they're not doing it right now, yeah, just be kind to them. Right now is just to help them be better human beings. Let's we are concentrating so much on academics with these small children. I remember when we started school, maybe it might say how old I am, but we started at 5 years old. I don't know how old you started. I mean, and we are here, we are not dandas. Life happened. So when you're like grilling this child's due, you do your ABCs and whatever, like, you have to be creative in how you're doing this. What works, what is not working, leave it. Teach them those skills of them to be better. How to wipe your nose better, how to like interact with others, how to speak better. I don't know, just for them to be better human beings. The academics, akina Magoha struggling with it. That's their headache at the moment. They will guide us. The CS and the PSs, they are working on it. I pray and hope that they have the best, which I know they do. That's why actually they've said, let's not go to school until we figure out how we can enforce some of this social distancing and all those things with the children. Then we can have them come back to school. But in the meantime, I would encourage parents, let's just teach our little humans to be better human beings. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Our time is coming to a close, but I don't want to leave out the boy child.
Yes.
And I don't know what you have to say about boy child. Also, tell us, is there a marked difference between life skills for girls and life skills for boys, or are they just the same?
They're the same. They're the same. At some point, the road actually takes a turn. Life skills are life skills for a human being. Let's just agree on that. But there are some things when a child gets to teenagehood, there are changes that are peculiar to the boy and there are changes that are peculiar to the girl. There are struggles that will be peculiar to the boy and there are struggles that are peculiar to the girl. So life skills are life skills, and
Okay.
once they learn the life skills, then it is easier now to apply them to the sex that they are. Now there are
Mm,
also programs out there. We work with a certain organization when it comes to the boy child. So when it gets to a certain, when we need to address some of those things, they're best addressed by the men, because the boy will listen more to the man. And anyway, the man has been a man all his life. He's
mm,
able to address these things better, and they have good conversations. And I've really liked it when like when we'd go for, let me just mention this, would go for out of town camp and would have one night, the eve of our travel back to Nairobi, would have the girls have their girl talk and the boys have their boy talk. And when you'd ask the boys what they've learned, and they're like, no, they're like, it's man stuff. Even when the way they are walking out of that, meeting,
yeah.
aish, chest out, head high,
Yeah.
So it's like it's redefined. And the fact that it's coming from a fellow man, and
Mm,
some things they're shy, they might be shy to ask a female. So
yeah.
it becomes a safe space for them to be
Mm,
able to have such discussions, whether it's
mm,
about girls or about some, physical changes.
mm,
So
mm,
the other thing I would say, what I've noticed with the boy child, the mothers really shikilia those boys
mm,
a lot, because when you're going out of town, a lot of parents of boys will feel like, oh, they are too young, and we're talking about a 9 and 10-year-old.
mm,
They feel that they are too young, because basically what we expect of them is to be able to do the basics for themselves. You can
mm,
shower, you can sit and feed yourself. You're not being fed by anybody.
mm,
You can pack your clothes.
mm,
And if not, we'll teach you how. You can pack the way because we'll guide you. So what I've
mm,
noticed is, and I can understand, because developmentally, when the boys are younger, they need more help, and they take
mm,
a longer time to get out of, to be independent, so to speak. So
mm,
the moms become so, I don't know if it's attached, but they hold on too tight. I think they
mm,
just need to let go a little bit for them to come also to learn from other people, you know,
mm, mm.
engage in other activities. Just let go. And that
Okay.
is what also we are realizing, even when they are grown men,
Mm.
some mothers are still holding on. So they cannot let the man, live peacefully with the wife. Still want to hold on, just like that little
Yeah.
boy who you wanted to wipe his nose and make sure his, shirt is tucked. Like, let
Yeah.
go.
And now he's a married man.
Now he's a married man. So it starts from then and it goes on even until they're adults. So it is, I think, like Pastor Mbevi has a good program, The Mother of Sons, where the mothers have learned quite a bit. I
Yeah.
think I'd encourage, women to tap onto such resources, because they learn and they realize things that will help them build better
Mm,
men.
mm, mm.
Because that ego in the man starts when the boy is little. So how do
Okay.
you know?
Mm.
And that's a conversation for another day. Actually, that I would be the one interviewing you if the church allows me, because you're raising a boy, you've tapped onto these resources, and you can actually tell how
Yes.
they've helped you as a mom. So these resources are there. Let's
Yes.
let's let's reach out as moms,
True.
to learn better, to make sure the foundation we are laying for these children
Mm.
as they grow is quite
Oh,
strong.
okay.
Yeah. Mm.
Um, what's a quick checklist you can give to parents in the area of life skills, like to know I'm
Mhm.
doing well or I need to improve in how I'm teaching my children life skills? What's a quick checklist or test that they can use?
I'm not sure if there's a quick checklist, but what I would say is, if you realize that there are difficulties between the relationship, between you, either with a child or your children, for a long
Mm-hmm,
time, because you could get, maybe
mm-hmm,
when you were with your firstborn, it was different. With your secondborn, it's so much trouble.
mm-hmm,
We've had so many times that, bring up the, every person has their own personality. Bring up your child according to the personality that they are.
Okay.
And keep calling the strengths in the person that child is. I'm not sure if
Mm,
there's a quick checklist, but there are flags, I might
okay.
say.
Yes.
If you notice some flags, like the child all of a sudden is withdrawn,
Mm,
there is something.
okay.
And I'll tell you one thing, it doesn't matter. Have you seen a little child, like let's say a toddler, draw a picture,
Mm,
and then you as the adult try to interpret the picture, yet it's not your
mm,
picture?
mm,
That's what we need to stop doing with the child any stage.
mm,
Let them tell you what's going on and what that feeling means to them. Don't look at them, they're sad, and you're thinking, oh, is it because we moved houses? Is it because nowadays we're not eating sausage, or whatever reason you'll give it? Is it because now because we lost a job and I lost a job and the budget is tight? Let the child tell you what's going on. Don't put words in their mouth. And that's a learned skill. You have to, like, every time remind yourself. So if there are any changes, sudden changes in your child, please, that's a serious red flag. If, let's
mm,
say, your child was potty trained, they don't pee in bed at night, and all of a sudden they start peeing in bed at night. We have accidents, yes, but it keeps happening. Have a conversation and be calm. Do not, I don't know, eat your calm fruit, take your chill pill,
mm,
you know
mm,
just
mm,
have a conversation, because kids will just give kidogo, then they see, okay, it's cool, they go on. If at some point they feel mommy is back, they withdraw. I mean, they just cut it out. So any
mm.
major changes, secondly, find a way of consistently engaging, whichever way that is. Let it, whether it's bedtime, if you normally read stories, I don't know, whatever it is, find a way. You can actually even Google, find a safe space where you have conversations, and especially more teenagers, especially, they have an opinion. So if they realize you're not taking it, they just withdraw. Their opinion still stands. They will not take yours, and they continue with their life. Like, they will just ghost you, and life goes on. So let's find a way of engaging. The other red flag is if your child used to like certain things and all of a sudden they don't like it. Let them let you know that I have outgrown that thing. It's for kids, but don't interpret
Okay.
it yourself. Yeah.
Okay.
Then
So
I would say,
okay.
yeah. Pardon, Wambo, you are saying something. I don't know if you can hear me. You seem to have frozen. Hi, Wamboy. Can you hear me now? I seem to have lost you, Wamboy. Okay. So, as I was telling you, just to recap, any changes that you realize are happening in your child, any sudden changes, have a conversation with them and just get to understand what's going on. If there's something that they used to love to do and they just stopped, doing it, just find out from them to know, have they outgrown it, or there's a reason why. Um, and I would say, even as you continually engage with them, then you'll get to learn more.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much. You've given us so many insights. I know the time is not enough, and we thank you for our viewers who've been asking questions and commenting as well. Just give us a parting shot, anything that comes to mind, both to parents, to children, and especially in this COVID season.
Okay.
Mm,
Uh, COVID season, the thing that comes to mind is self care, because there's a lot of stress happening around us. There's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of structure that was removed and we have to restructure it. There's a lot of like the goalposts have been changed a lot. Today it's this, tomorrow it's been changed further. Schools are opening. I don't know when that time reaches. It's pushed forward. Even January, we are not sure that we're going to go back. So I think is focus on what is in your control. But I would say self-care is very key. I'd say emotions are data. Process your emotions. Stop like going and going and going and going. Just find out what's triggering some of these emotions that you are feeling and address them. Whether it's towards your child, whether it's a child towards a parent, whether it's whether it's spouse to spouse. Let's address what's going on. This is not a time that we need to pile up things, because you might just find yourself exploding and you're wondering what just happened. Yeah. So let's look at our emotions and process. They're not bad emotions. All right. God gave us all these emotions, So try and identify what you're feeling, why you're feeling it, what's making you feel it. And I would say also engage physically in things that you like to do. Look for new hobbies. And if you used to have hobbies and you got lost somewhere and you're asking yourself, what's my hobby? When you're going through social media and you see something that you like, just try it out. Keep trying different things, Yeah, try things by yourself. Try things with others, with your family, with your children. Journal. Write what you feel. Sometimes for some people prefer to type it because they don't want anybody to find it. They type and 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 then delete. For some, they want to, and these are different personalities. Some will just want to write, jot it down. They like to write it. Just write it, process it. After that, you can throw it away if you so wish. If you wish to keep it, keep it. And for adults, let's also help our children be able to process some of these things. At different times, just check with them what's going on, and an individual at a time. You can have a discussion as a group, but if you're blessed with more children, also create the time to interact with each on their own, as much as you'll interact with them, as your children. Yeah. So treat the individual as an individual. Just check what's going on with them, because the rest of your children might be okay, but they are not. Yet they're exposed to the same resources, the same mom, the same everything, but they're going through their own thing. Yeah. And be kind to yourself, be kind to others. That's what I would say. And most of all, let's just take the time to teach children to be independent in different things at different times. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. Before
Yeah.
we close with a word of prayer, please share with us your contacts for those who may want to reach you.
Right. Suzanne Durango is my name, or Wangeshi,
Mm-hmm.
whichever way you know me. They're all mine.
Mm.
Social media handle, they can follow us to just know what's going on. On Facebook, it's at the Joy Kids. At the Joy Kids.
Okay.
On Instagram, it's Joy Village _KE. All right. Our website is www.joy-village.org. www.joy-village.org. I can give you two quick numbers. One is
Okay.
0722 803 155 803 0722 803 155. The other one is 0733 505 245. 0733
Okay.
505 245. Yes.
Okay. Thank you
We'll be
so
happy to
much,
engage with you.
Suzanne, for
Yeah.
indulging us today. Thank you so much, Suzanne, for indulging us today. I like various eye openers you've given us into the world of teenagers and children in general. So I'd like to close with a word of prayer. So
Okay.
thank you, Lord, so much for gathering us here. We thank you for the topic and discussion we've had about our children. We pray that we will be effective parents and mentors to them. We thank you for Susan and her time and even her organization, Joy Village, and the work that it does. We pray your continual blessings upon her life. May you expand her territories. And we also pray for other parents and the society at large, and even mentors who can come out in larger numbers and help us bring up children so that we have a better and stable future generation. We thank you even for our country, and we pray that even as we go through this difficult time brought by the pandemic, that we will pull through as a nation. And more so, we pray for our children that they will also manage to pull through. We thank you for your provision and your sustenance, and we thank you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. And thank you, Wamboy, for having me. And
Yes.
thank ACK Buruburu Church for inviting me.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm.
We are grateful. Thank you.